We're going to church today, ladies and gentlemen. But not just any church. This is a special church for special people. We're talking, of course, about the Church of LS. The Church? The Church? The Church? We're talking, of course, about the Church of LS, who now brings us an incredible new Ezreal build. Now, in reality, it's not actually new. It's like a year old or so. And nobody talks about it enough because it's good. It's actually good. But it's got a couple of quirks, so you're going to want to watch the whole video just to, make sure you're doing this properly. God. I'm such a good... these intros just get better and better, huh? My goodness. I'm such a good YouTuber. I'm such a good YouTuber. It seems the more things change, the more they stay the same. Completely new season, completely new items, and still just this one item. It's like Oscar the Grouch can't escape his trash can. We can't seem to escape Liandry's torment. You know, that actually reminded me of that Dave Chappelle joke. It's like, why is he called Oscar the Grouch? Like, he lives in a trash can. What is he supposed to be, Oscar the Optimist? Just wake up every day, say some positive stuff like, don't leave for tomorrow what you can do today, and just walk outside with pep in his step. And then he comes across this yellow piece of shit bird and is somehow expected to not chop him in the neck. Come on, man. That's ridiculous. Regardless, at this point, League and Liandry's are like Stephen Hawking in chairs. One cannot exist without the other. So therein lies the topic of today's video. So Ezreal has never really had a mythic that he kind of like to go. Triforce doesn't have anything he really wants aside from Sheen. Anyone building Prowler's Claws should probably be working on fixing their relationship with their father instead of experimenting with Ezreal builds. And some people used to build Duskblade, not because it's good on Ezreal. I think maxing E and trying to see how fast you could get to the enemy base on respawn, I think is more useful. But the Mythic passive gives cooldown reduction, and that's basically Ezreal's crack. And now you have this Navori build, where it gives you insane cooldown reduction, but at the same time it feels like it does no damage, on top of having to pay for crit chance on Ezreal, which, I mean, that gold is better spent gambling on LCS games. Enter Liandry's build. Now, if I'm honest, you'd need a degree in thermodynamics to truly understand the intricacies of this build. Unfortunately, I didn't make it that far. I failed geometry, but I'll try my best to explain it. Basically, the main part of the build, and most important, are the first two items. Muramana followed by Liandry's. Muramana is a no-brainer. It's always been good on Ezreal. Now, why Liandry's? Well, like I said earlier, Ezreal's nipples are more useful than anything on Duskblade, and to be honest, I tried the Navori build. I don't know how I feel about it. I didn't really feel particularly strong, as well as being one of the most expensive items in the game with a lot of wasted stats. So, with Liandry's, there are literally no wasted stats. The mana that Liandry's gives you gets turned into AD by Muramana, on top of giving Ezreal AP. Now, we said ability haste is Ezreal's crack. So now AP is basically like, imagine if Lux were to start an OnlyFans. I mean, he just starts slamming his head against the walls. That's a lore reference, because Ezreal and Lux in the lore, they... I didn't actually fail geometry. Well, I mean, I did, but it was because I didn't do any of the work. Okay, I didn't do any of the homework. I didn't do any of the work in class. However, in the finals, I ended up getting one of the highest grades in the class. And if you guys could imagine the look on my teacher's face when she saw my grade, it reminded me of when you're playing with a dog and you pretend to throw the ball and the dog is just entering and exiting the speed force trying to find this ball. And then it looks at you and sees that you still have the ball, and it just looks at you with complete, pure, and utter disappointment in its face. Like, how dare you do this to me? That's exactly what she looked like. So anyway, League of Legends, that's right, sorry. Why do I still play this game? Muramana and Liandry's, that's right. Has to be the strongest power spike Ezreal has in any build. Very similar to Iceborne Gauntlet of old. I honestly think that when Ezreal gets these two items, it becomes untouchable. The damage you do is ridiculous. The cool thing on top of it too is how flexible you can be from there. So basically, you start Sheen and Tier, but then you hold on to the Sheen till your third item and just rush Muramana and Liandry's. Kind of similar to how some ADs buy Dirk and then hold on to it for later. Going Liandry's does not mean you're going AP, by the way. Ezreal does 30 to 40% magic damage regardless of what you build. So none of that, my team is heavy AP, so I can't build Liandry's. Then you probably should not be picking Ezreal, my smooth-brained friend. And like I said, Liandry's boost both your AD and AP damage. Your Q scales off of both AD and AP. And if you're using W, E, or R with Liandry's, you're just going to do more damage. Now, after you build Liandry's, you can continue to build like you would normally. You know, Hydra, Griselda's Grudge, or whatever it's called. It does not mean you're going AP. But if you see an opportunity, if you see an opening, hey, like the US said to Japan in World War II, think fast. Forget the Essence Reaver third item. Build a Lich Bane. The Sheen proc for Lich Bane also scales off of both AD and AP, so might I recommend a Cosmic Drive as well. Or a Horizon Focus if your chest is particularly hairy on this fine evening. Now, guys with dicks down to the floor, such as myself, we build Medjai's third item. Not because it's good, because it's definitely not, but it sends one hell of a message. It says that you're mentally deranged, and if you're going down, you're taking everybody else down with you. Now, to be fair, you can only build AP if you're the only AP damage on your team. Unfortunately, my mom used to play pool with my head when I was little, so I didn't notice that I had a Victor, Evelyn, and Thresh on my team this one game. Thank God pressing tab is disabled in plat though, seeing as the enemy team built 0 magic resist, and here comes Little Jin walking into my jungle, so I tell him that my supply just came in and I'm handing out dick in bulk. For some reason, every time I play Ezreal, everyone just decides that they would like to play every AP assassin in the game. I don't know why that is. Now, here is the quirk with this build. You can play it as if nothing was different. Just build Liandry's instead of whatever else you would have built and change nothing else. But see, Ezreal's W has such insane base damages. The build itself is very strong. You're sending out heat-seeking missiles every 5 seconds. To maximize the damage you do, you're going to be mostly playing around your W, which means putting 3 points into Q early and then maxing W straight after. It gets so much value with every level. So by the time you get Liandry's and Muramana, you'll have 3 or 4 points into W and your power spike will be insane. The problem with that is if you're below Challenger, right? I'm sorry to break the news to you like this. It really isn't fair to you or me, but you're not good at the game. Now, this doesn't apply to me, obviously, because I would be Challenger if my teams weren't holding me back. But the thing I think is important to point out is that this way of playing Ezreal is exponentially harder to play than regular Ezreal. The 2-item power spike you hit with Liandry's and Muramana is ridiculous, but it's a lot more of a burst build. You're playing on much longer cooldowns than your Q. On regular Ezreal, you miss Q and it hit a guy in the North Pole, well, no problem. In 2 seconds, you'll have another Q so you can take out his girlfriend too. Equality. If you miss your abilities on W max Ezreal, you just become like a glorified tourist. You're just walking around, looking at the trees, checking out the scenery. So you need to be a lot more patient when playing Liandry's Ezreal. Maxing W is definitely more of a feast or famine, but you don't have to. You don't have to. You can just max Q, then E like normal. You don't have to max W. I'm just saying there's potential. That's what I'm saying. Now, next up is the runes. This is where shit gets Mexican, and by that I mean spicy, not deported. Now, for a long time, I felt that Conquer on Ezreal was not the best, but you took it just because nothing else was really better. I say this because every time I tried to something else other than Conquer, my teammates started typing at 150 words per minute about how glad they are that my dad left. But I've said my piece about Conquer on Ezreal, so we don't need to go over that again. It's just crazy how, it's crazy how most people don't go Conquer on Ezreal anymore. It's kind of crazy how that happened. Nothing changed, really. It didn't get changed. It didn't get nerfed. And nothing else got buffed. Kind of weird how that happens, weird. But funny enough, Conquer scales better for AP champions. So, again, if you see an opening, I'm just saying. Now, this is what I like to do generally, is I like to take first strike, because again, the true damage on your burst in the mid game is insane. The Yeezys, the Futures Market, because Futures Market is absolutely disgustingly broken, and I'm not sure why every champion in the game doesn't take it. And Cosmic Insight to round it out. And then if you have that subway footlong hanging out in your pants, then you take sorcery as your secondary and take mana ban flow and absolute focus and just absolutely piss on these kids. In game. But that's it. Liandry's on Ezreal, man. New tech. I'm telling you, this WMAX thing, it has potential. It has potential. It is such a dumb power spike. I'm definitely going to play around with it more, see how you can optimize this thing. But the only thing, again, is even the normal Ezreal is extremely punishing if you miss abilities. So if you miss abilities on WMAX Ezreal, it's like getting hit by Morgana Q in real life. But anyway, that's all I got. Roll the outro, bitch.